Have you ever thought when you're hiring someone into your business, you are actually in the customer service industry? You're actually providing customer service. The biggest factor if someone will accept a job with your company is candidate experience. So how do you offer an amazing candidate experience? We're going to talk about that today. Welcome to episode 50 of the KeyHire Small Business Podcast, where we cover the issues that help owners scale their small business. I'm Corey Harlock, creator of KeyHire Solutions, and I'll be your host today. So today we want to talk about candidate experience. And candidate experience for me, or customer service for me, is a hot button issue. Customer service in today's day and age, for the most part, sucks. And large companies that have monopolies on their products, they've actually done surveys and taken data to see how far, how bad of service can we offer our customers before they go through the pain of switching. That's where some companies are with customer service. Other customer services, or companies, when it comes to customer service, I often feel like I'm dealing with, I settle with the best of the worst company. And no companies are better examples of that between Lowe's and Home Depot. Have you ever been to a Lowe's or a Home Depot? The people with their aprons walk by and you kind of flag them down and they keep their eyes on the floor and they walk by, because if they don't see you, they don't have to give you any customer service. So how does that apply to our candidate experience and customer service? Well, there's a couple really interesting facts around candidate experience, and I've talked about this before, but candidate experience is one of the biggest factors in a candidate accepting a job with you. So, for example, if you're a small business and no one's really heard of you before, and they applied to you and you're not on their radar, and they also apply to the company they've always wanted to work for, and they interview with both companies, if the company they've always wanted to work for gives them a shitty candidate experience and you give them a great candidate experience, there is a 50% chance that they will reject the offer from the company they've always wanted to work for and accept your offer. The experience someone has going through your hiring process is the biggest factor in them accepting a job with you. So what is candidate experience? And to put it really shortly, it's how the candidate feels and their impression of your company as they go through the hiring process. How it works, how they feel, are they communicated with, is it efficient, is it effective, are they getting what they need out of the process, is it balanced and equal on both sides? So we talk about some of the mistakes I see consistently with the hiring process, and especially in small businesses. You know, oftentimes we think, well, we put up a job, people come, we interview them, and if we like them, you know, we drill them, and then we give them our offer, what we want to pay them, and they should take that. But it's not the way it works all the time. So 80% of candidates consider the candidate experience a crucial factor in their decision making, and like we said, it can sway someone about 50%, right? It's from taking your job versus someone else. And the number one complaint candidates have throughout the hiring process or the candidate experience is lack of communication. And this can happen in many, many forms. It could be I applied to your job and no one even reached out to say, hey, we got your resume, you're not a fit. It could be we take someone through the process and at one point we decide, you know, you're not the right person for us, and we reject them, but we never take the time to tell them that we've done that. And the biggest one for me is always a mind-blowing one is we have two people that we take to the finish line, and It's really close. And then we make a decision to offer one. And that person who was right at the end of the process, we don't take the time to be respectful, treat them with respect, and be gracious enough to call them and explain what happened. Oftentimes we'll just say, well, we hired this person. Did anyone ever call that other person? And the answer usually is no. Well, should we? It's been too long now. There's no use calling them. So keeping people informed as you go through the process is crucial. Number 2, biggest mistake is online applications. Did you know that only 8% of people who start an online application finish an online application? It's a crazy number. So if you have this, we do all our screening, we'll make people jump through hoops, we'll make them upload a resume, we'll answer questionnaires. That's easy for you. It's a complete inconvenience for the candidate. I suggest you go through your own application process. And a lot of people don't understand that if someone is already employed and you force them through this tedious online application process, as soon as it becomes a nuisance or a pain in their ass, they're just going to say, I already have a job. I don't need to finish this. The 8% of people who are filling out those online applications are the people who need a job. They're unemployed and they really need your job. Those are the people that are going to finish that online application. And those aren't always the people you want. The people that no one else will hire or have been on the market for a long time. So it's something to consider. Another thing that has always kind of been confusing to me is, especially when I work with a client, we'll get someone right to the end of a process and then they'll say something like, oh, can you ask them to go online and just go through the online process? That's an internal thing that you need to do, and it's antiquated. And in no world do I know, in a small business especially, that you can't hire someone, you can't be agile enough to hire someone who has not applied online. In fact, asking them to go apply online, and I've had people say it, I'm not going to do that. It's a huge pain in the ass. They already have my resume. They already have all the information they need. I'm not going to. And it's a deal breaker. They might even walk away and say, yeah, if that's what I have to do for me to go work with them, that says a lot about the company. So get out of these antiquated systems where we want to hire you, but now I need you to go apply online and jump through all our hoops just to make my life easier, right? Because it's about candidate experience. You don't need them to do those things. And the third and biggest mistake I see business owners make is moving too slow. We know in this market that the time from someone starts interviewing with a company to the time they go off the market, once someone declares to themselves, I'm going to find a new job, and they kind of get out there in the market and start interviewing, they're generally on the market for 2 to 3 weeks before they accept an offer. So I have a saying that whoever moves the fastest and offers the best salary usually wins the race. And that's really true. If you move quickly and are efficient and you offer a competitive wage, you can usually hire the people you want to hire. But if someone applies and it takes you a week to get back to them, and then you schedule a pre-screen for the next week, and then, we'll bring them in the next week. Oh, I'm busy. Let's reschedule that. Let's push it a week. That person's going to be gone. You are always competing for talent. If you're interested in someone, I guarantee you at least one other business is interested in them as well. So moving fast is free. It costs nothing. So going slow, to me, is the biggest sin you can make in your hiring process. Just taking too long, because it doesn't cost you any more to move quickly. It costs the same dollar value associated with going too slow and being inefficient and being efficient. It's the exact same dollar investment for you and your company. In fact, you could probably argue, if you wanted to tally things up, it costs you more to go slow. So the three mistakes I really want you to think about are making sure you're providing a great candidate experience. You're communicating. You don't have antiquated online application process. It should be quick and dirty and easy. And then you got to be efficient. So what are the top pieces of advice I can give you to correct those problems? Your interview process, we always want to make sure we're using the correct process for the position we're hiring for. And some easy examples of what that might look like are, if I'm hiring an hourly entry-level associate labor person, I might do a quick phone screen, check all the boxes. I have my scorecard and they check all the boxes I need. I might bring them on site, have them meet with their manager, do a little walk around the plant, ask them some questions. They seem like they know what they're doing. That's great. We'll get you an offer. We're going to pay you $20 an hour. That would be an efficient and an exhaustive process for the associate role. If I'm hiring a C-level person, obviously that's going to be a lot more in depth. There's going to be a lot more touches and a lot more people involved. Another mistake I could argue is people use the exact same hiring process for every position. And that would be a mistake too, especially when it comes to hourly associate level people. They go really quick, especially if you are looking for specialized talent. You got to be fast. And so creating that right process for them is going to be essential. So we always want to use the correct process, and it's got to be modified for kind of each level. Leadership, a director, a manager is going to be a very different process than an hourly associate person. And as you go through there, you might add a couple more touches and have a couple more people involved. So number one, use the correct process. The number two complaint is communication. And the way to solve that issue is very simple, and it's something we do at KeyHire with every interview, with every candidate we ever do. And you can talk to any of our clients, even when we're involved with the clients, we'll do this. We're consistently setting the agenda at the beginning and the end of every interview. So, for example, if I were to pre-screen someone, what I would say to them is, hey, we have 15 minutes here. So to be nice and efficient and effective, the way I like to conduct this interview is start with you. I have a couple quick questions for you so I can learn about your background. Then when we're done, I'll tell you all about our opportunity, answer any questions you might have, and we can talk about next steps. 99% of the time, people say, that's great, Corey. Thank you for letting me know. Then at the conclusion of that pre-screen, I'll either say, I don't think this is a match. And we can always be kind. We can always say, you have really great experience. It's just not great for this particular role. And for me, it's all about risk, to be truthful. So I would say to them, you're in a good position right now, and taking this job, to be really honest with you, is going to be risky for you, and it's going to be risky for us. And I just don't believe in that. I don't believe in putting anyone in a risky position. And again, 99% of the time, people say, hey, thank you for your honesty. I appreciate that. But if there's someone we want to continue with, I'll say to them, hey, this has been great. So here's what next steps look like. Our next step is to do a video interview. And if that goes well, we're going to do a video interview with the hiring manager. And if that goes well, we're going to bring you on site. And if we all like each other at the end of that on-site visit, we're going to get an offer in your hand. How does that sound? And people say, that sounds great. And oftentimes they'll say, what's our timeline on this? And I'll say, we're trying to get this done in the next 10 days. We want to have everything knocked out. And they'll say, that sounds great. So then after the video interview, if I determine they're not a fit, I'll say, hey, I don't think it's a good fit for us or you. I don't want to jeopardize your career. But if it is a fit, I'll say, hey, this has been great. So here's what happens next. We're going to reach out to our hiring manager and we're going to do a video interview. Can you shoot me, or are there any days or times that work for you? And then if that goes well, we're going to bring you on site. And it's just a constant reinforcement of what the agenda is and how it works. And people never have any questions about what's happening, when it's happening, and who it's happening with. And that is one of the biggest impact the KeyHire process has anyway, is we're in constant contact with our candidates and our clients in terms of what's going on, and they're always included. And even before we do a video interview, I'll pull a candidate on ahead of time and say, here's how this interview is going to play out. Here's the agenda for the interview. And then when I bring my clients on to do the interview, I lay out that agenda again for the clients and the candidates, so we're all on the same page. Then at the end of that video interview, I'll say, hey, we're going to let you drop off. I'm going to do a debrief here, and then I'll get in touch with you the next 2 or 3 days to let you know exactly what next steps look like. Great, thank you. They always know. And that is a big differentiator because, KeyHire, we're not an agency going out, we're not KeyHire agency representing client ABC. We go into the market as a part of their team. And so we go in representing your brand, being able to tell your story. And so your reputation is your best recruiting tool. And we always want to bolster your reputation within the market. We never want people to look at our client's company and say they had a negative experience in the hiring process. So that communication piece is something we learned early on and have really fine-tuned that to make sure that we're just always keeping people informed. We'll even go as far as saying, I know you're interviewing with other companies. What does that look? Where are you in that process? We don't want to miss out on you because we went too slow. So if you end up getting an offer in your hand, let me know so we can adjust our schedule here and get a chance to get you in an interview with you to at least get our offer in your hand as well. Because we always want to make sure if this is someone we're going to invest this amount of time in and we're interested in, we want to be agile and efficient and exhaustive. We never want it to cut the efficiency or being exhaustive. But we got to be agile in that process and be communicating with the candidates all the time. And then the third piece is being considerate. So I've told this story lots. Stop me if you've heard it, but the story goes like this. You have a candidate you're really excited about, looks on paper like they have great experience. So you say, hey, you call them up at 10 o'clock on their cell and say, hey, this is Corey over at ABC Company. I just got your resume. We'd like to bring you in for an interview. Can you come in tomorrow afternoon at 1 o'clock? And the person says, yeah, sure. And so they come in at 1 o'clock, you spend an hour with them and you say, hey, this has been great. My partner's really going to want to talk to you as well. So let me get with him, but would you be able to come back, next Monday at 1 o'clock again? And the person says, sure. Now let's look what happens on the other side of that. You called them at 10 o'clock in the morning, they're at work. You called them at work and they're like, hello. And you said, hey, this is Corey at ABC Company. I want to interview you. Can you come tomorrow afternoon? So what are they going to have to do to get there tomorrow afternoon? They're going to have to take half day off. So they're going to have to come up with an excuse and they're going to have to go lie to their manager and say, I have a doctor's appointment or something came up with my kids or whatever that is. So we put them in an awkward situation because we haven't been considerate of their time and what they need to go through. And then if they show up at work dressed up, what's ever the joke going to be in the office? Oh, you're going to a job interview? As soon as people dress nice. So now we put them in an awkward spot. They might have to change in their car. Then they have to Google your address, Google map it. They don't know where to park. They show up. They're a little disheveled. And then you say, hey, can you do this again for me next Monday? And you put them in the exact same spot. And that would be enough for most people to say, yeah, I can't do this. It's not working for me. And we're not showing them we understand our process and what we're putting them through. We're putting them through a bunch of duress here and we're putting them in some awkward spots and we're really making them work hard to come and apply to our company. And that's not the way it should be. So when we're considerate of time, the KeyHire process is really simple. We always do a 15-minute pre-screen and we try to keep it to 15. Sometimes it might go 20 minutes, but the pre-screen and our messaging to the individuals, hey, we'd love to talk, just a quick 15-minute phone call so we can get to know a bit about you and see if you're a match for the opportunity. And that 15-minute pre-screen is just like, do you have what we need? And do they score high enough for you to want to continue the conversation? Then the next conversation is a 45 to 60 minute video interview. And we try to work with them on their timing. What works for you? Oftentimes I'll just send them a link to my calendar and say, hey, pick a time that's most convenient for you on my calendar. And that seems to work really well. People appreciate that. And then the next one is we're going to do a video interview with the client. And again, it's, hey, what times, send me some times that are convenient for you. And I'll go back to our hiring manager and see if those work for them. And I'll often encourage the hiring manager to say, hey, let's make sure that, we don't make them jump through too many hoops. If we need to shift our calendar, we'll do that because we want to make it easy for them. And then the final step is we're going to bring you on site. We know you're going to have to take a half day off work. We know you might be in a situation where you're going to need to lie or test your integrity or do something you wouldn't normally do. So we only ever want to do this once. And I'll tell candidates that we're going to bring you in. I know you're going to end up taking a half day off work. So we're going to try to use it. And we'll have you here for 2 hours if we have to, because we want to make sure you meet all the stakeholders. We want to make sure you get a tour facility. We want to make sure you get all of your questions answered and you meet all the people you want to meet. And generally people are they appreciate the fact that we're saying, hey, we understand you're taking a day off work to come and accommodate us. So let's just do this one time. We'll never ask you to come back. If someone can't be there that day, say you have 4 people that want to talk to the individual, we're looking at a manager, director level position, and one of the people for whatever reason can't be there, then it's up to that person to reach out to the candidate and say, hey, sorry, I couldn't be on site when you were here. I'd really like to talk to you. What times do you have that are available where we might be able to jump on the call, on the phone for 30 minutes just so I can chat with you a bit? Instead of saying, oh, so-and-so couldn't be here. Can you come back next week so they can talk to you? That serves us, not them. And that's essentially what we're trying to do when we're talking about being considerate. It's understanding that just like the online application process, that isn't not for the candidate's benefit. That's 100% for us to make our life easy. Same thing with, so-and-so couldn't be here. Can you come back? That's just make our life easy, not theirs. But we're always competing. We are in the customer service world when it comes to hiring, and great customer service is showing people that we value your time and we want to make sure we're efficient and we are considerate of what we're asking you to do, and we're willing to meet you halfway here, because that shows how you're going to work together as well. So I hope those are helpful points for you in terms of thinking of the hiring process as being in the customer service business and taking those 3 big challenges, the 3 biggest influences, the 3 biggest factors that are going to influence someone's decision in coming to work for your company, turning those from a weakness into a strength. I think if you just change those 3 things, you'll have a much higher hiring percentage in terms of interview to offer. Acceptance is a whole different deal. That's a whole different conversation, because just because you make an offer doesn't mean someone's going to accept it. Your offer's got to be in the ballpark. And that would get into our 7 candidate drivers, which is maybe a conversation for another day. But if you have any questions about how to improve your hiring process, we're happy to help you with that. You can always reach out through the website. So thank you for tuning into the KeyHire Small Business Podcast. If you got value out of today's episode and you want to keep up to date on our new content, make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the episode. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Drop in topics if you want us to cover those. We would love to hear what you want covered. We're here to help you. If you prefer to listen to your podcast, you can find us on Apple and Spotify or whatever your favorite platform is. Just search up the KeyHire Small Business Podcast. Thanks for listening. I'm Corey Harlock, and until next time, stop grinding and start growing.